In the last video, we had completed the design part of this program in which I had given a menu for all the separate operations which I'm about to do. So I'm going to do all these four in separate modules. So when you click on this images, I want something to happen. In the last program, what I did was to just put a toast in this place when you click on that images and then say you have clicked on images. But this program, what I'm going to do is we're going to modify this into a fragment. So I'm going to create a new fragment called image fragment, and when you click on this nav underscore image, I want that image fragment to be loaded in this frame layout which we have created, which has the fragment container. I want the content to be manipulated by that fragment. So if you don't know what is fragments, please do refer the previous video in which I had given you an example of what is a fragment. I hope you have done that program and then come back. Now let's create a new fragment and then link it with the images menu. Let's do that. For that, I'm going to the project. I'm going to add a new fragment. So I'm just going to choose the app, right click on it and say new fragment, choose a blank fragment. And inside that, I'm going to name it as image fragment. Please note, I'm not removing the word fragment. Let it be there so that we understand it is a fragment. And I want you to create a design along with it, but I don't want the factory methods. I don't want the code to be complicated. I'll be writing everything. So I'll just remove this and then click on finish. Once your fragment has been added to your project and the Gradle sync is done, you'll see that there's one Java file created called image fragment and one XML file created called fragment underscore image. So first thing what we will do is we'll do the design part and then we'll come to the code part. In this one, if you see there is one frame layout, the component tree, you have one frame layout inside which I have a text view. I'm deleting that text view so that I'll be putting my content. Here, all I'm going to do is create one image view, two buttons. The image view will be right now having blank data, which means nothing will be there. I'll be adding the image there through either my phone's gallery or my camera itself. So let's start with the design. I'm going to put another layout inside the frame layout called linear layout, vertical one. And inside that, I'm going to put one image view. So I'm just going to choose one just temporarily. I'm going to just choose this and say OK. So you have an image view, and below that I'm going to put two more buttons. Now let's fix the properties of these controls. Start with first choose all the three controls and make sure that their margin is set. I've applied a 10 dp margin between all these controls, and then let's go to the first one, image view. Let me name it appropriately so that I can use it later. I'm going to just put it as IV profile pic. Just to note that this is an image view which will hold the profile pic of the user. And width and height, I'm going to manually give, let's say 200 dp to 200 dp. And I want the image right in the middle of the program. So I'm going to just choose this gravity and say center. So I want the profile picture to come here. You can choose any icon you want there. I leave it up to you. With the beginning in the program, normally you don't have a profile picture, so it will be some dummy text or dummy image. I'll be replacing it. The next two are the buttons. So let's click on the first button and go to its ID and name it as BTN. I'll just say browse pic so that you know that you're looking for a picture. So the text, I'll just say browse for a pic. So you know this is the button for that. You can just say choose a image, depends on how you want to name it. The last one is the button in which you're going to open the camera. So I'm going to say BTN take picture, and the text is going to be take a new picture, so that you know if you click on this, the camera should come up. This is the design what we are doing. We are not going to do anything else in the design. But one more thing I want you to remember is this is not an activity, it's a fragment. After the design is done, let's go to the code part of image fragment. This is the code part of image fragment, which is it is a class which extends from fragment, and inside that we have on create view in which the layout is inflated. Now first thing what I want to do in this image fragment is to make sure that this works separately without connection to any other fragments or activities. So let's consider it as a simple activity and think what we would do with this kind of a scenario. Number one, I'll be creating an object of all the three controls which are there in my design. Let's do that. I'll be creating it globally. So let me say image view, and let's name it as profile IMG. The next two are buttons. So let's just create two buttons. I'm going to create an object of button. Let me name it as browse BTN, and next one is take BTN, take a picture BTN. After that, we need to instantiate them or map them to the design. But please note, I can't just write find view by ID because this is not an activity. I need a view. If you remember the activity, the first line itself, we set the contents view and then we can say find view by ID. But here you see the last line, they are inflating something and that is what is returned as a view. So if without the help of this view, I'll not be able to do anything. So let me just cut this out and let me create an object of view. Let's say v is equal to, cut this entire code like how we did in the last program, paste it there and then say return v. Now between this view space v and return v is what we write is the actual code which we require. So let's instantiate those the controls which we have created. So I'm going to say profile img is equal to, please note I can't directly type find view by id, it will not work. I need to call the object of view and then call v dot find view by id. So now you can pass the ID. I'll just pass IV profile pic. The next are those buttons. Let's do browse btn is equal to v dot find view by ID r dot id dot btn. First one is browse pic, so I'll choose that. The next one is take btn is equal to v dot find view by ID r dot id dot btn take picture. Three of these controls are right now mapped. Now, where does my programming part start? The programming part starts when you click on the button and the button has to react. Remember that we had gone through three ways in which we can link a listener. First one is to object itself, second one is to the class, and third one is creating the design and mapping it in XML. In this one, I'll not be using the third method because it's a little bit more complicated when you're using a fragment. But the first two methods are still valid in a fragment. The first method is to attach it to that particular button itself. You can do that way. I can just say take btn dot set on click listener. And then new, I can write it. But since there are two buttons, I'd not recommend writing the same code again and again. So let's do this. I'm going to say extends fragment implements on click listener. Once it is done, I'm going to click on that bulb and get this method on click. Let's click on OK. So now this is done. Please note, you have asked the class to listen for the on click, but you have not told the object to listen to this class. So let's do that also and then come back to the on click. So I'm going to say browse btn dot set on click listener to this class. Next one is take btn dot set on click listener also to this class. So if you click on this button, what would happen is it would come to this particular method. Both the buttons will take you to this particular same method. So how do I know which button was clicked? It's simple now. We just put a switch case. We call the view object and say get ID. And with the ID, you will know which button was clicked. I'm going to write the first button. If it was browse pic, what am I supposed to do? Second one is case r.id.btn take picture. What am I supposed to do? Let's do one by one. I'll be running them together, but let's do the program first as browse pic. So when you click on that button, what I want you to do is to go to the systems browser and look for a particular type of data. Please note, I'm not looking for anything else except for an image. So I'm going to use the MIME type, what we had discussed in the class. With that, I'm going to write intent. So I want you to go from here, from this app to my systems browser app. When I say browser, not the internet browser, I'm talking about the system's file browser, and get me a particular image. So for that purpose, you already know I'm going to create an intent, and let me name it as browse intent is equal to new intent. I'm not passing anything. Let me leave it as it is. Now inside this, I'm going to give a little bit more information. Browse intent dot set type. What type of data are you browsing for? So I'm going to say image slash. If you remember, the MIME types normally have image slash PNG, image slash JPG, etc. I don't care what type of image as long as it is an image. So I'm just going to put a star. So image slash star, any type of image. First thing is done. Second thing is, what type of action would you like to do with that? I would like you to choose that content, or get the content from that place what you are choosing and come back to this program. So I'm just going to say action. So I'm just going to look for action underscore get underscore content. Please note that is the one which I'm looking for. That's it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write last line. Normally we write a start activity, but please note here, if I start the activity, it will go to that browser, but it will not come back to me. But here I would like you to choose something and come back to the same place where I'm calling it from. So I'm going to write the word as start activity, but this time for a result. For in that case, I need to pass two parameters. Number one, with what intent. Second one, what is the request code associated with this start activity. So you know the intent, I know browse intent. Second one, I do not know what is the request code. Let me create one. I'm going to give the request code as pic underscore image. Since it's already not existing in my ID, it's going to throw an error. Let me click on it and say create a constant field called pic_image in image fragment. Click on that and please give any number which you like, but let's not repeat that number. Make sure that it is there. So I'm just going to put 101 and now that error is gone. Now when you say start activity for result, it will go to that particular place and get the image. Once you have clicked on the image, it has to come back to this activity, this fragment. When it comes back to this fragment, which method will react to it? On create will not, because it's only called once for a particular fragment, and then on click if you click on the button. But you have gone and come back, which means you have to see the result of this activity. So let's inside the fragment, but not inside the on click. Let's write it outside on activity result. So inside this, if you see, there are three data which is passed, which I have already discussed in class, but let me repeat it again. The request code is what you pass here. And the last one is data, what you get back from here. Result code is whether it is granted or given or not. So I'm going to ignore this. I'm only going to focus on two. Any two is fine. So I'm going to take a simple if condition. If data is not equal to null, only then I'll be writing code. The reason is whether you have gone to take a picture or browse for a picture, it doesn't matter. When you come back to this fragment, you should have a picture. If the data is not there, no point in writing any code. So I've said first condition is if data is not equal to null. Now, since I am writing this only for to pick an image, the next time I'll take that image from a camera. So either way, both the times it will come back to my activity result. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this request code and I'm going to put it inside a switch case. So let's put switch request code, and if it is the first case, which is the first request code what we created, if it is pic_image, what do you want me to do? So this is the first question it is asking. Now normally I would recommend that this code what I'm writing is just to demonstrate how to take an image. But imagine if you are doing this program for a real app in which you need to take this image and store it in the database, or you want to put it on the internet or something like that. You cannot just work with the URI from your phone. Rather, you need to convert it into a bitmap like how we did in the last programs. So I need a bitmap image. So let me create a bitmap object. Let me name it as BMP. Let me instantiate it to null in the beginning. So whichever object, whichever image you chose in your phone, I need to take that image and then convert it into a bitmap and store it in BMP. For that purpose, I'm going to just create BMP is equal to, I take the help of a class called media store and then say images. Specifically with that media, I would like you to get a bitmap. Let's keep this, it will work in all the phones anyway. So get bitmap. Now, the first parameter I need to pass is the content resolver. I'm just going to say get activity dot get content resolver in whichever activity you are working with, because fragment cannot run alone. It has to be embedded inside an activity. So just get that activity, and using that activity, get the content resolver. Next one, URI. Do you have the URI in which that image is located? Yes, because whatever data is passed to me is basically URI. So I'm just going to say data dot get data. Please note when I say get data, the turn type is a URI. That's it. Now let's see what is that error. The error is because if at all that file was not found, I cannot parse it. If I could not get the bitmap, what am I supposed to do? Just put it inside a try catch so that this error will go away. Done. So your bitmap will be ready. If at all the pic image does not work, bitmap will be null. Now the last line is if this data is not equal to null, and if the bitmap is created after the switch case. Please note, after the switch case, I'm going to call that image view which we have created, the profile image dot set image bitmap to the BMP which you just created. This is the first part of the program. But now if I run my program, do you think this fragment will be visible to me? No. Reason is you have not linked this fragment to that activity. So let's do that now. Now I am in the main activity in which, if you remember, we had just put a toast if you clicked on the images menu. Now I'm going to remove that toast and I'm going to replace with a simple block of code which we have already done in the fragments demo. But whatever code I wrote there in 3-4 lines, I'm going to merge all those things into one. I hope you'll understand. The first thing I need to do is to get the fragment manager, begin a transaction, replace this frame layout container, whatever is there, with the fragment what you got, and commit that transaction. This entire thing, I'm going to write it in one line. Let's start. I'm just going to write get support fragment manager, just like how we did in the last program, dot begin transaction dot replace what? I need to pass two parameters here. I passed three in the last program. Here I'm just going to pass two. Number one, where is the container's ID? You have created one in your main activity, if you remember, r.id.fragment container. We have created that. Second thing, fragment. Which fragment do you want to pass here? I want to pass the image fragment. Please note, fragment is also a class. I cannot directly call it. So I'm just going to type new image fragment. That's the object of fragment. This is not enough. Please remember, you need to also commit, because you begin a transaction, you should also commit it. Let's try to run the program and check. I've run the program, the output has come. And since this program requires camera to be used and not so much feasible in my emulator, I'm using an actual phone. So I'm just using Visa to display this. I'm going to click on the menu and you see that images. So I'm going to click on images, and this fragment is now replaced in that particular place. So if you see, it looks like as if my main activity has received that fragment. Now I'm just going to click on browse for a pic. This is the only button which I've made sure that it works. So I'm going to click on browse for a pic. In that case, it opens up file browser. So I'm just going to click on the navigation drawer which they have, and I'm going to just check my downloads folder, because I had put three files for our demonstration: one image, one audio, and one video. So but please note here, both are disabled right now because I said image/star. So only one which has image as its attribute or MIME type will be visible here. So I'm just going to choose this image. Once I chose that image, it is now in my fragment in the image view which we have created, and it is now working. Now the next step what we'll be doing is, instead of choosing a picture from my phone, why don't I take a picture using the camera of my phone? That will be the next part. Let's do that now. Before we write the code, in order to use the camera of the phone, we need to take permission. When I say permission, it is both the ways, manifest as well as through code. Let's do that first. In the manifest, let's take the permission to use camera. So I'm just going to say uses permission, and I'm just going to look for a permission called camera. So you've got the permission of camera here. This is not enough. We need to take it from code also. Let's do that. I'm not going to write the code to take permission in the activity, because when you run the activity, no permission is required. But when you run the fragment, you need individual permissions. So I'm going to write the permissions also in the fragment so that the fragments are self-sufficient. So for that, what I'm going to do first is, as soon as you have created a view, after that, I'm going to take the permission. The first condition I'm going to put is if check self permission. If you remember, that is the code. But here when I start typing that, it does not come, because you are not in the context of activity, rather you are in the context of a fragment. So how do I fix this? Just call get context, which is the activity context where it is running right now, and then say check self permission. And inside that, I'm going to call manifest.permission.camera. After that, if it is not equal to permission underscore granted, which means if the permission is not given for the camera, what am I supposed to do? Request for permissions. And in that one, I need to create a string array, and let's pass the permissions. So I'm saying manifest. I'm going to say manifest.permission.camera. That's the only permission I require. And do you have a request code? Let me just put 1, 2, 3, because I am not going to check whether it is given or not. I assume that you will give it. The proper way of writing permissions I've written in a previous program. This is just to make sure that my program works. This is not the professional way. And then here, you see that this only works in API level M onwards. So let's just surround it with an F. Now, when you open this fragment, the first question your system is going to ask, because the first time when you run, the permission is not granted. The permission is not granted, so it will request you to give permission. Once you have given the permission, now you can go and click on take picture. So once you click on picture, what do you want me to do? I want you to open the camera of your phone, and remaining part will be taken care by your phone's camera. And once you click a picture and you said okay from that app, you'll have to come back to this app and then display that picture. So let's do that in a short way. I'm going to create another intent, because as I told, you need to go to the camera app of your phone. So which means you're going somewhere. So I'm just going to say camera intent is equal to new intent. Within brackets, I'm just going to say media store dot action underscore image underscore capture. Please note, this is the only intent you require. As simple as that. You just need to tell the media store that you would like to capture an image, and then start activity. But please note, it should be for result. And then let's pass this intent, which is camera intent, comma, need to pass a request code. So I'm just going to write that as take underscore image. Previously I created pick image, this is take image. Let's fix that error by just saying add a constant field, and let me name it as 102. Now please note the only code you have written here in take picture is to create an intent and say the media store to help you capture an image, and then you said start activity for that result. So now at this point, if you have given permission to the camera, my camera should get open and you should be allowed to take a picture. Once you click the picture, you clicked on OK, I should come back to my activity. The same method will be called on activity result. But now I've written only one case called pick image. Let me write one more case, take image. If you have gone and come back using a camera of your phone, what am I supposed to do? Again, I am going to take that bitmap object and I'm going to process it with the data which is passed to me. But here the data is temporarily passed to you. Please note it is not a permanent data. The one which you accessed here is already there on your phone. You just took it and you gave the link here, so it was like this. But here the picture which you just clicked using this app would be kept in the temporary folder. It will not be stored to your gallery because you are not doing it. You're not using it like a full-fledged one. You just clicked it and is right now stored as a data in your temporary folder. I'm just going to display it and convert it into a BMP. You can take it further without even storing it in your phone. Let's do that. So if you clicked on take underscore image, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to manipulate that BMP which we had created. So I'm saying BMP is equal to data dot get extras, which is a bundle of data. From that, I'm going to say get. I have the keyword which will be stored temporarily, data. This is the keyword which will be stored inbuilt in every Android phone. So we have this error. That's because you get an object, but you're trying to convert it into a bitmap. Let's typecast it, and our work here is done. So if the data is not null, only all these things should happen. If the data is null, this also would throw an exception. So let me just keep it as it is. Now let's go back and run the program. Please note this is already done, so I need not do anything else now. Once the BMP is manipulated, the profile picture will be set. So now let's go and take a picture from our phone. Let's run the program and check. Now the app is running. Let me open the drawer and let's click on images. As soon as I open this, you get a permission message saying that allow this app to take pictures and record video. If you have asked permission to access the camera of your phone, whatever the camera can perform is also permitted to you. Like for example, a camera will be used to take pictures, also to record video. I'm going to click on allow and our app is ready. So now I've already done the browse for a pic. So let me just do the next one, take a new picture. Since this is an actual phone, there is a camera in my phone. So let me click on take a new picture. The camera is opened in my phone. So I am just going to take a picture of the keyboard here. And once I've clicked, the tick mark should come, which here shows that your image is ready for processing. But this is now not stored in my phone's gallery. So I'm just going to click on OK. And once I've done that, that picture is now inside our app, which we created, the image view, what we created. And it is, by the way, converted to a bitmap. So you have a bitmap in your system. Right now, this is the same thing what we'd be doing if you want the user to choose a picture or take a new picture for himself. Similar to the previous program, I'm going to create a separate fragment only for that particular purpose of using audio in my program. So for that, let me go to the project, right click on app, create a new fragment, a blank fragment. This time I'm naming it as audio fragment. I'll remove this and then click on finish. After the Gradle sync is done, let's go to the design and finish that first. In the design part, I'm going to delete that text view which is already there. And inside that, I'm going to put a linear layout, and within which I'm going to put, let's say, 4 controls. One, text view, just to see the progress and status and stuff. Following by which I'll be putting 2 more buttons. One to pick a song or pick an audio from the phone. One to record your own voice. And the last one is a toggle button just to start and stop and stuff. I'm not going to use start and stop button. I'm going to use the same thing as a toggle button. So with this, our design is done. Let's do the attributes. Let me first choose all the 4 controls and put apply margin, and let's start with one by one. The first control, I am just going to name it as txt status. In this label or the text view, I'll be displaying the status of what is happening. So first one, I'll put status. The text view, I'll just put it as status. Let me make it in the center by applying gravity, and Let me just change the appearance of it to be medium. So I have the status, and then you have 3 buttons. Let's start with the first button. I'm going to name this as BTN choose audio. So you'll be browsing for an audio, and then you'll be picking the song which needs to be played. So I've just put choose audio, and in the text I'm just going to say choose an audio. That's the first button. The second button, I'm going to click on it and say BTN record audio. So this text will say record, and the last one is the toggle button. I'm not going to do anything else except the name. Please note it is toggle button and the text is not important here. You'll just see a button. If you click on it, off will become on will become off. This I'll just use it for start and stop. With this, the design part is done. Let's go to the code. Before we write code in this program, there is one important thing you need to understand is just to play a media which is there in your phone already, you don't require permissions. You would remember this from the services program what we had done. For that, I did not require permission because you're not changing anything. You are just using audio which is there in your app to play this. But here, what I am going to do is I'm going to record an audio and store it in my phone in a particular location, like say downloads folder or someplace. I'm going to put that file which you record inside my system. So in order to do that, you need permissions. Specifically, I need 2 permissions. Number one, you need permission to record audio. Second thing is you need the permission to write something into the storage of your phone. So let's get that permission and come back here. So first, let me go to the manifest. The first permission I'm going to ask in manifest is to record audio. That's the first permission I'm going to take. The second permission is to write into external storage of my phone. These are the 2 extra permissions I'm going to take. I'm going to check whether you have permission to record audio. If you don't, I'll ask for permission to do both of these things together. Please note this does not affect by taking the permission of camera because camera records video, not audio alone. So audio alone is taken care by the mic of your phone, not the camera of your phone. So let's go to that. And now let's go to the code part. In the audio fragment, the first thing I'm going to do is to make sure that the view is fixed, and then I'll take the permission. Let's do that. I'm going to delete this and say view space v is equal to whatever is returned. I'll cut that, paste it here and say return v. And whatever fragment code I'm going to write will be inside these 2 so that the XML is mapped here. Now, I'm going to write an if condition. If, just like last program, I'm going to say get context dot check self permission. What permission would you like to check first? I'm going to say manifest dot permission dot record audio. If this permission is not equal to granted, request for that permission. What permissions do you want to take? Since it's a string array, I can pass both the permissions what I require in one shot itself. I'm going to say manifest dot permission dot record audio. First permission. The second permission is to write that whatever you recorded audio into the storage device. So I'm going to say manifest dot permission dot write external storage. These 2 permissions, and do you have a request code associated? I'm not going to check it, so I can put some number just for namesake here. And the error which is thrown, I hope by now you know. Now that we have the permissions required, let's map the controls which are there in the design to the code. So let me create some controls globally, whatever is available in my system. The first one is the text view. So let me just name it as status txt. Second one is 2 buttons, so I'm just going to put button. And the first one is to pick an audio, the other one is to record an audio. So I'm going to say choose BTN, comma, record BTN. 2 things. And the last control is a toggle button. So I'm just going to put it as toggle button. Now let's instantiate all of them inside the on create view. So before writing the return, let's do this. Status txt is equal to v dot find view by id r dot id dot txt status. Like this, let's link all the controls. Once you have mapped all the controls to the code, now the next step is to make sure that those controls react when you click on them. For that, I'm going to use a second way of attaching a listener, that is to attach to the class, because I don't want to write individual code for that and I cannot use the third method. So I'm just going to the extends fragment part and say implements on click listener. Once it is done, it throws an error. Let's fix that by implementing the methods. So let's say on click. That's the first part. The second part of this attaching is I need to also ask this button, this individual object to listen to this class. So for that purpose, let me call all the 3 of those controls dot set on click listener to this. Let's do that for all the controls. After that, let's handle these events in the onClick method. So I need to find out which button was clicked or which control was clicked. So I'm going to say v.getID. And in that, I'm going to write three different cases. Case r.id.btn choose audio. If he is clicked on the choose audio button, what am I supposed to do? Second one is to record audio. What do you want me to do? The last one is if you are clicked on the toggle button, what would you want me to do? So the three buttons have been taken care of. So now if you click on those buttons, this is the place where it will be called. So now let's see what to do in each and everything. So first let's start with the media player. Just to play a media which is chosen by the user. Let's do that first. For that purpose, first thing I'm going to do is create an object of media player globally. So I'm going to create an object of media player. Let me name it as player and leave it as it is. Once you click on this, I would like you to go to your phone and search for an audio and choose it. So what I want to do is I wanted to create an intent here. So I'm going to write an intent. Let's say choose intent is equal to new intent. That's it. Just like images, I am going to also say choose intent dot set type. What type of file am I looking for? I'm going to look for audio slash. It can be MP3, it can be WAV, it can be 3GB, whatever it is. I'm just saying choose an audio file, audio slash star, the MIME type. The next one, just like how we did the image, I'm going to say set action, which is action get content, just like the previous one. The last step is to start an activity. So I'm going to say start activity for result with this intent, choose intent, comma, with what request code. So let's create a request code, say pick audio. So I'm just going to say pick underscore audio. And since that constant field is not available, let's create one and let me name it as 201. So now when you click on the choose audio button, your file browser will come and it will allow you to only choose audio based files. That's it. Now, once you choose, what will happen? That is what the next line you need to write is on activity result. So let's come out of this on click and then write on activity result. Just like how I wrote the previous one, I'm going to write a first if condition as if data is not equal to null. And I'm going to put a switch case which will have the request code associated to each request. I'm going to say if it is the case of pick audio, what do you want me to do? Here I am going to create the object of the media player. So please note I've already created this, but I've not instantiated it. So let's create it here. Player is equal to media player dot create. I need to pass two parameters. Number one, context. Number two, URI. Where will I get the context from? Whichever activity you have attached this fragment to, that activity should give you the context. So I'm just going to say get context. It will automatically give me the context of the activity in which I'm running. Second one, the URI. If you remember, this data what you have chosen will always return a URI. So I'm just going to say data dot get data, which returns a URI. We are done with that. The next line, please note this is just created a media player. It's not started playing. So you're going to say player dot start. That's it. Now what happens when you click on the button is you will be choosing audio from your phone. Whichever audio you choose from your phone will start playing in this app now. Before we run the program, let's also have a toggle between starting and stopping that same audio which is playing right now. Imagine that you've chosen a 4-minute audio and you want to pause it while you do something else in the meanwhile. By the way, this is not written inside a service, which means if you destroy this activity, the song will stop playing. So don't worry about that. But let's do a programmatic way of stopping this or pausing and resuming this audio while you're playing it. So for that purpose, I have a toggle button. Before I come out of this switch case, let me write two more lines. One is to make sure that the status changes. So I'm going to say status text dot set text. I'm going to just say media is playing from. You can also see where it is coming from. I'm just going to say data dot get data string. So now it will display the location. It will not get as a URI. It will not return a URI. It will return the URI as a string so that you can just display it in your phone, seeing where this image is located in your phone. It will show you a content URI. Now, the last line is I'm just going to call the toggle button and say toggle. Whatever state you are in, just reverse it. That's all. And the next thing is if you click on the toggle button, what should happen? So here I'm going to write a simple if else condition. Let's see that. In the toggle button, I'm going to write a simple if condition like if player, that media player is not equal to null, which means you have put something inside the player. Also, if it is playing, so I'll say player dot is playing. If it is still playing, what do you want me to do? If it is still playing, if you click on the toggle, I would like you to pause it. Let's not stop it, let's pause it. Now imagine the player is not null, but it is not playing also. If it is not playing, I want you to play. So I'm going to say else if player is not equal to null. Only this condition is satisfied, which means player is having some data, but it is not playing. Toggle should start playing it. So I'm going to say player dot start. That's it. Now, before we check the program, how it works and all, we need to make sure that this fragment is also linked to the main activity. Let's do that now. In the main activity, all I need to do is copy this full line and I'll replace it in this place where we have put a toast for audio. And only thing I'm going to change here is that object. Remaining code is exactly the same. I'm going to just put the word audio fragment and then commit the program. Now, if you run the program and click on the audio navigation item, this fragment should be replaced in the place where your image fragment is kept. Let's run the program and check it. Program is running. Let me open the drawer and you see the audio fragment. Let me just click on it and see whether the audio fragment comes. And as soon as you open this, you have a permission request. Please note there are two permission requests. Number one, allow it to record audio. I'm going to click on allow. The second permission which is asking is to access your external storage, which means photos, media files on your device. Let me click on allow. Now everything is ready. Now first thing I'm going to do is click on choose an audio. So let's click on choose an audio. Again, your file browser will come up. You can choose. I've already put some files in the download, so I'm going to just pick them up. You see that right now only audio is looked for. The remaining two are disabled in my browser. Now when I choose this, the audio should start playing. I'm going to click on the toggle button to stop it. It now paused my audio. Now let me just turn it on again. It continues playing. I can stop it, and you can also see the status. Media is playing from which place. So it's in downloads, documents, etc., etc. There's a big location here. If you have kept a bigger text view, you'll be able to see the full URL. With this, our program is done. In order to do the recording in our app, the first thing I'm going to use is the opposite of a player, the recorder. We are going to create an object of media recorder. Let me name it as recorder. I'll not instantiate it here because we need to instantiate it only when we require it. So that is the place where you click on record audio. Now, I'm going to use the same button like a toggle button by writing an if else condition. If the text of the button is record audio, I want you to start recording and then change that label to stop recording. The same thing will say record audio. When you click on the button, it should start saying stop recording. So let me write an if condition. Just make sure that you follow it. If record btn dot get text dot equals, since I put the word as record audio, I'll check whether the text is record audio. If the text is record audio, which means this is the first time you're clicking on it, in that case, I would like you to start recording and change the button's text. Let me just write the change of the text. Say record btn dot set text to stop recording. Now the else part, you know that if when will it come to the else part? If it is anything apart from the word record audio, which means stop recording, you'll come to this part. Here, I'll just do the reverse of that. I'll say record btn dot set text to record audio. Please note the text is case sensitive. Make sure that it is put in the same case. So my button's text was record audio. So you can just see the design. In the design, I've given that button's text as record audio. Please note this is the case and the text which I've given. In the code, what I'm checking is when you click on this button, if the text is record audio, I would like you to start recording and change that text to stop recording. So the same button will be starting and stopping the recording. So while it is recording, the button's text will be stop recording. So when you click on that button again, if you see the if condition, if the text is record audio, it is not record audio when you are recording. So I'll do the reverse of it. That's the toggle we are doing. I hope this code is clear. Now let's go to the actual work of start recording. Before we proceed, you need to know two important concepts here. Number one is that the file which you record, the voice which you record right now, needs to be stored in a particular location. So I'll be putting it in the external storage directory. The second thing is the audio type. What format do you want to save it, and where do you want to save it, and what encoding are you going to use, what format are you going to use? All these things are important for the recorder. Player doesn't require that because player will play all types of audio. While recording, you should tell what type of audio are you recording. So let's do that first and then we'll come back here. For the location where you're going to store it, I'm going to create a global variable as a string. So let me just create it as string. Let me name it as storing path or store path. Where is this path? So in the on create, I'm going to call store path is equal to environment, which belongs to Android.OS, dot get external storage. Please don't use the state, just get the external storage directory. That's easier, even though it's deprecated. I'll just say get external storage directory dot get absolute path of your external storage directory, where I do not know. And then let's concatenate that with a slash and the file name dot whatever you want to store it. I want to store it as a 3GP file, which is open source, my voice dot 3GP. This is one format which is what we're going to use in this video. So this is done. The storing path is available for me. Now let's go to the recording itself. If you have clicked on record audio, this would be the code which is going to be executed, and then I'll change the text of the button to stop recording. So before we begin, let's just reset whatever has happened with the recorder to null, because I'm going to give a set of operations on that recorder. So if anything else previously has been done, should be resetted back to null when you click on record once again. So now let's create an object of the recorder. So let's say recorder is equal to new media recorder. So the object is ready. A new object has been created. In case you had created any other object before that, will be resetted back to null when you click on record audio. We are going to set some important attributes for that recorder object, starting with what will be the source of your recording. So I'm going to say recorder dot set audio source. And in that one, you need to pass the audio source, which will also be coming from media recorder dot audio source dot. You see, there are different ways in which you can get the audio. I'm going to choose mic. That's the default version from where you get your audio. So mic of my phone. Next, what will be the format of your audio? So let's do that. Recorder dot set output format. Again, you need to pass what type of output are you going to give. Media recorder dot output format dot what type of output format. You have 3GP, what I've just given, and you have AAC, you have AMR, you have MPEG2, MPEG4, OGG, WebM, etc. I'm going to choose 3GPP. And then every format also has a particular type of encoder. So we are going to use that, say recorder dot set audio encoder. In that one, I'm going to find media recorder dot audio encoder dot what type of encoding. I'm going to use AMR underscore NB. That's it. The last thing what I need to pass as the recorder's attribute is where do you want to store this output file. After recording, you'll get an output file. Where do you want to store it? So I'm going to call the recorder and say set output file. In which place? You have to pass the path. Where do you want to store that output file? I have the path with me as store path. So I've just got that, and your recorder is all set to start listening. Recorder is ready. All you need to do now is ask the recorder to prepare itself and then start recording. So I'm going to say recorder dot prepare, which will throw an error. We'll put it in try catch. The last one is recorder dot start. Now let's fix this issue by just putting it inside a try catch. Let's put the recorder dot start also inside the try catch. With this, recorder has started recording. Now once it is recording, you just need to speak into the mic and it will start recording. And once it is done, when do you want to stop it? You would like to stop it if you have clicked on stop recording. So in the else part, I'm going to write call that recorder and then say stop. That's it. Let's say after you have finished recording, I would like you to play that so that I can listen to it. Let's use the same player which you already have. I'm going to initialize that player to null, because in case if anything else is already set to that player, let me just clear it. And then let's say player is equal to media player dot create. Again, need to pass a context. So let's pass get context. Second thing is you need the URI. Please note you already have a path where the recording is stored. So all I need to do is convert that path into a URI, which is easy to just do URI dot parse. and then pass the store path. Done. The last line would be ask the player to start playing. Now the toggle will still take care of it. It's not a problem, but this much is enough. Before we run this program, let's also set the status of our text to the location where you are storing this 3GP file. So I'm just going to call the status txt and then say set text. I'm going to say the recording will be stored at. I'll concatenate that with the store path. Done. Now let's run the program and check if it works. Let's check the output. I'm going to open the audio, and here I'm not going to choose an audio because I already checked that it works. Let's click on record audio. So when I click on record audio, the recording is started. Please note the text is changed to stop recording, and after I click on stop recording, whatever I just spoke now should play back to me. Click on record audio. The recording is started. Please note the text is changed to stop recording, and after I click on stop recording, toggle will still work. If I turn on the toggle, the audio is stopped and it continues. With this, the audio handling part of our program is done. Let's create a new fragment called video fragment. Right click on app, new fragment, a blank one. Let's name this as video fragment. Let me remove this factory methods. Let's create a layout XML and then click on finish. Once you are done with the Gradle sync, let's go to the design, delete that text view which is already there. After deleting the text view, let's drag and drop a linear layout vertical inside the frame layout. Now inside this linear layout, I'm going to put three controls. One is the video view because I want a control which can play videos. So let's go to widgets and drag and drop a video view into your linear layout. And once you do that, it will take up the entire screen. Let's go and fix that by giving an ID. Let's name it as video view. And the second one is the height. I don't want the entire thing to be wrapping it. So rather I'll just give 200 dp, which somewhat looks like your YouTube's video window. Now the next thing is I'm going to put two buttons. One is to choose a video from your phone. So for that, let me just drag and drop one button inside it. And the next button is to record your own video. So I've given three controls. Let's change their properties. First, let me choose all the three and apply margin. Now let's go to the first control, the button. Video view, I've already given all the attributes, nothing else to give anymore. Let's go to the button and let's name it as BTN choose video. The text, I'll say choose a video. And the second button, we are going to put the text as, the ID as BTN record video. And the text, I'm going to put it as record a video. Now the design part is done. Let's go to the code part. In the code part, as usual, first create all the three controls which are there globally here. So first one is the video view. Let me create an object of it called video view. The next two are buttons. So I'm just going to create button. One is to choose button. The second one is record BTN. So let's instantiate them here. First, let's do the same thing. I'm going to remove that inflate and create an object of view space v is equal to whatever is there returned, and the next one return v. Inside this, let's instantiate all those controls. Video view is equal to v dot find view by id r dot id dot video view. Like this, let's do the remaining controls. Once the controls are mapped, the next thing is to make sure that we listen to the click event on both those buttons. So for that, let's do this. Implements on click listener, and let's fix that by clicking on click. And here I'm going to make sure that these two controls are listening to this class. So choose button dot set on click listener to this class. Next one is record btn dot set on click listener this. Now if you click on any of those two buttons, I need to come back here. So let's write a switch case and find out which button was clicked. V dot get id. And the first case is r.id.btn if you have clicked on choose video. Second one, case r.id.btn record video. What should I do? Please note, two buttons are there. If you click on those two buttons, what should happen? The first button is very simple. Let's do that first. I am going to just create an intent. If you click on the first button, let me create a video intent is equal to new intent. That's it. Inside that, we will just put some important attributes like set type, what you're looking for. I'm looking for any type which starts with video / star, any type. The next one is what type of action are you going to expect from there? I'm saying get content, same action as the previous two things. Let's write start activity for result with video intent, this video intent. Second one, the request code, I'm going to say pick underscore vid if you're going to pick a video. So let's create a constant field like that. In video fragment, let me name it as 301 and let's wait for this activity to give me a result. So let's write a method to process that activity on activity result. Inside that, I'm going to put if data is not equal to null. What am I supposed to do? If data is not equal to null, let's find out what request code did you come here. So I'm going to say switch the request code, and if the request code is pick underscore vid, then do something. So let's do that right now. Whatever comes back to you will be coming back as a URI. So if I get the URI, I can start playing the video. If the request code is pick underscore vid, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to call that video view and then say set video URI to whatever is passed to you. Get data. Please remember, get data returns a URI. So just pass that URI to the video view and it will get you the video which you just chose. The last thing is to ask that video view to start playing. So just call start. That's enough. Now before running the program, let me do the second part also, that is recording a video and then playing it. So let's do that. For that purpose, it's very simple, as just like how we did the image. I'm going to come to the second button and say intent. Let me create a camera intent is equal to new intent, but within brackets I'm going to call the help of a media store and then say action underscore video underscore capture. Please note the previous program I had given as image underscore capture, but here we are going to say video underscore capture. Done. All you need to do is start activity for result with that camera intent, and then request code, let me say take underscore vid, and let's add a constant field. Let me name it as 302. Done. Now let's come back to the result. Please note, you just said start activity for result with video capture as your intent. So if your intent is to capture a video, a camera will open up in the recording mode of a video, and then once you finish it, it will come back here. Let's write the second case, which will be very similar. Case is take underscore vid. Then what am I supposed to do? Inside this, I'm going to call video view and say set video URI to whatever data you have got through the system. So for that, I'm just going to use the same get data, because system, please note, after recording, it will process that image and store it in your camera folder. So remember that. And then I just going to call video view dot start. Now I've written two things which are exactly the same. The reason is because I just wanted to show you the difference between coming from your phone and clicking it or recording it from your phone itself. So both, the idea is still the same. That's why the code is almost the same. You can even write it as if data is not equal to null, these two lines of code, it's enough. Both would work the same. Now before we run the program, I need to connect this in the main activity. Let's do that now. In the main activity, I'm going to just copy paste this one line below inside the nav underscore video ID, and I'll just change this audio fragment to video fragment so that our fragment will pop up in the same place. So now our work is done. Let's run the program. Let's choose a video which is there in our system. Please note, now the remaining two are not available because they are different types. This is the only type which will work. So let me just choose this video. The video is now playing along with the audio because it's a video view. And once our video is ready, now this is an inbuilt video. Let's record our own video now. Let me just click on record a video. Now the phone's camera has opened up and your the camera app is ready to record. So you can just tap on the record button just like how you normally do, and the recording has started. And once the recording is completed, you can click on stop, and how much ever you have recorded so far will be stored onto your memory card. Now you see that there is a small tick mark here which says that you are okay with this video, or you can just retake it once again if you like. So let me just click on OK. And the video which I recorded is now playing with the voice behind. With this, the video fragment part of this program is done. The last part of this program is to make sure that you have sharing intent given to other apps from your app. Let's do that now. For that purpose, I'm going to come to the last case what we have created, a share button which we had created in the design of your drawer layout. But then please note it was not part of a group. It was kept a separate one. Just to understand this one separate concept, what I'm trying to do here is imagine if you have an image in your app and you would like to share that image through different ways, like say for example through Hike or through WhatsApp or through Gmail, whatever you want. Now if you want to share something, by the way, in this example I'm just going to share a text, just simple plain text. You just need to replace that with whatever you want to share with. So imagine if I'm sharing a URL to you. When you tap on the URL, whatever browsers are available in your phone should pop up and then give me option to open that URL. Similarly, if I'm sharing an image with you, if you tap on the image, whatever apps in your phone has capacity to process an image would be opened up. Just like that, I'm going to create an intent and then I'm going to make it into a sharing intent. So let's do that. First, let's create a simple intent with no arguments. Just say I is equal to new intent. And let me put some data into it. Let's start with the first one, set type. What type of data am I sharing? For this example, I'm just using a simple text. So I'm just going to say text slash star, which means any type of text. It can just share any type of text. Normally it will be text slash plain, doesn't matter. The next one is set action. What type of action you would like to do? I would like to send this. So I'm just going to say action underscore send. Please search for that. You say send. The last one is what text would you like to send? That is passed as an extra. So you say put extra. What type of extra it is? Intent dot extra. What type of extra are you sending? I'm sending a text. If you don't like to send, if you want to send an image, you'll have to send like a stream. Like for example, you can just look for something called stream. Right now I'm going to send a text. So this is the type of text which I'm sending. What is the data? So I'm going to say this is the data I am sharing. This can be anything. I leave it up to you. And the intent is ready. This is not enough. I'm not going to start a new intent because I don't know what to send, where to send, etc. etc. For that, we are going to create another intent, which is called the sharing intent, which normally all of us see at the bottom of the page when you click on share. Let's do that. So I'm going to create an intent. Please note this is another intent. Let me name it as sharing intent is equal to. We will call intent object and say create a chooser. Chooser is that dialog which comes in front of you, which allows you to choose what way you want to share it with. So here I'm going to say what is the target intent here? This I which I just created, the intent which I just created. And do you want a title there on the top? Yeah, you would. You can keep it or you can keep it as null. It's your wish. I'm going to say data that I share. After this, you just need to write start activity. You're not coming back to this app. You're just sharing it from one app to the other apps. So I'm just going to say start activity within brackets. I'm going to say sharing intent. That's it. Now let's see the output of this program. Now let me open the drawer and we have already seen the audio, image and video is done. Let's click on this communication part, share. Once I click on share, please note this pops up. This is an old phone. I do not have much apps in this. Nobody's using this. So you don't have WhatsApp, Hike, nothing. But basic things which are by default inbuilt in your phone is coming up. Messaging, Bluetooth, Gmail. These are the ways in which you can pass or share a text file. If you change the type of file from text to something else, your data will be different. And please note the title which comes here is the one which I gave here as data that I share. That's it. With this, we have completed the program lab record 10. Please try this out and keep the records ready. Thank you guys.